I want the money to
The home of Frederick Douglass. DC, the home of Dick Gregory. The home of Marion Barry. The home of Dave Chappelle. The home of Mambo sauce. What y'all putting in that Mambo sauce? DC, we're here, the Rally for Reparations. Look at this beautiful crowd. Give yourselves a round of applause. Now, family, it's a couple of days before midterms. We're letting the political structure know we want tangibles as foundational Black Americans. And we're not going to let them redefine what reparations mean, right? Is reparations student loan debt? No. Is reparations HBCU funding? No. Is reparations minority business loans? No. Is reparations catfish nuggets? No. What's reparations? Money! What's reparations? Money. What's reparations? Money. Give yourselves a round of applause. Now, family, when we talk about reparations, we get the same 7 rebuttals from the dominant society, and we need to know how to address their rebuttals when we talk about what we need to get as far as reparations. The first thing that they say is, well, wouldn't reparations be divisive? Wouldn't that make people in the dominant society not like you? Are you here to be liked by the dominant society? Tina Turner told us, what's love got to do with it? We're trying to get our money. We're already divided, but they control our resources. So we want them to divide our money and give it back to us because we're owed a debt as foundational Black Americans. The second thing that they try to tell us is, well, other people suffered, it just wasn't Black people. Irish people were enslaved. Italian people were lynched. Native Americans were mistreated, and they're not complaining, so why are you Blacks complaining? Well, the thing is, these people are not complaining because they were compensated. The Irish, who were indentured servants, they got something called freedom dues after their contract ran out. They got money, land, and weapons. They were compensated, then they were brought into white society to join all the benefits and reap all the gains of being white. When the Italians were lynched down in New Orleans, there was a situation where there was a mass lynching of Italians. Their families were compensated, and the country of Italy was compensated, and the Italians were allowed into white society to reap the benefits. The Native Americans, we know the red ones, they were compensated. They broke off all types of money, and many of them enslaved us as well, so they need to be cutting a check too. The third rebuttal that they have for us is, well, if you want to get reparations, FBAs, why don't you go to the Africans who sold you? Have y'all heard that one? Well, I say to that, number one, the African who sold us, well, he got a one-off. Number two, those countries don't exist no more. Those countries over there were colonized, and they were absorbed into the white European power structure, so all of their resources were drained. So they need to get the resources from the white power structure in Europe that dominated them, while we're getting money from the white power structure that dominated us, the United States government. Another rebuttal, they say, well, all white people didn't even own slaves during slavery. So how are white people responsible? We didn't all own slaves. But it was a slave economy where everybody benefited from the slave economy. So if you were a white person in the 1800s working for the train station economy was built on the resources that were taken back and forth from the south to the north. So you owe. If you worked for an insurance company in the 1800s, yeah, you didn't own a slave, but you were insuring slaves and you were making money off slavery. If you were a white person in the 1800s working for a bank or a factory, you were getting all the raw materials and refining it in those northern factories, benefiting from slavery. So the whole economy was based on the labor of our foundational Black American ancestors. The next rebuttal is, well, my family came over after the Civil War. So I wasn't even here during slavery. So how do I owe? When your family was over there in the slums of Europe, they heard about a country that was built up off the wealth from the free labor of our ancestors. And they knew that that wealth was mass distributed from our hands into white society and locked in racially. And they sat over there in Europe and said, sign me up, I want to go over there and be a part of that. So since you want to be a part of it, you're part of the debt and you owe too. The sixth one they say is, well, there's already been reparations paid to Black people. Welfare and affirmative action. Number one, welfare was created for white women in the 1930s. Number two, most welfare recipients in America are white people in middle America. The welfare capital is Owsley County, Kentucky, where 99% of the people are white and on welfare. That's the welfare capital. And as far as affirmative action, we know that affirmative action benefits white women more than anybody. So is affirmative action reparations? No! Exactly. And the last thing they say, family, they say, well, listen, why should I, as a good white person, be on the hook for something that I didn't do? Why should my tax dollars pay for something that I didn't do? I didn't own a slave. Did any of you remove red Native Americans from their land? Your tax dollars go to pay for them now. Did any of you put people in concentration camps in Germany? Your tax dollars go to pay off some of the victims of the Holocaust. Did any of you put Japanese Americans in internment camps in World War II? But your tax dollars go to pay the Japanese families. Did anybody here fly a plane in the World Trade Center? You know some of your tax dollars go to those victims too. Did you create a war in Afghanistan? No. Billions of your tax dollars go to the Afghanistanian people. Did you cause a war in the Ukraine? No. Billions of your tax dollars go to the Ukrainian citizens. So since we're giving all of our tax dollars to these people who are not even citizens for the most part, we're going to make sure the real compensation and the real check is going to be cut for the people who deserved it, who built this country from the ground up, who cultivated the culture in this country. Foundational Black Americans, ladies and gentlemen. Say reparations! FBA! All right, give yourselves a round of applause. Now, family, coming to the stage, our next guest, this is a brother you all know and love. He's a mainstay in our Hidden Color series films. This is a master teacher who I love and respect so much from New York City. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for brother Kaba. Kaba now!
Didn't take no loss. I don't even know what it costs. I hit the ground, then it go off. Yeah, hit the ground, then it go off. Yeah, okay. Didn't take no loss. I don't even know what it costs.
Now, family, first may I say thank you for your time. As you mature, one of the things you come to realize, the most valuable thing you have is time. And everything that we're doing right now, in our time, is for a future time. It's for our children. And the theme I'd like to talk about is, where do we want to see our children in the year November 5th, 2122? What do we want them to have in 100 years? Everything. Everything. It's important that we understand this, family, to help us understand what we have done to make this possible. There are reparations all around the world. In Africa, they have a 10-point plan in Africa for the colonialism of what they've experienced. In the Caribbean, in CARICOM, they have a 10-point plan as to what happened to them in the Caribbean. For those of us who understand what happened when Africa was carved up in 1885 at the Berlin Conference, we understand what happened. England, and France, and Germany, and other countries of Europe carved up Africa and stole all of their resources and colonized them. In the Caribbean, they built up Europe. And here in the United States of America, Africans stolen from Africa built up this country.
That's right.
The hands that built the pyramids built the White House. I'm talking history. It's important for us to understand they're not giving us anything. We are just claiming what has been ours from the beginning. Not to mention the fact that the original indigenous people were black.
Say it again.
The folk that we know of today, with due respect, they are the fifth migration
That's right.
of humans that came to this part of the world.
That's right.
We were the first. The short-statured Twa and Mbuti people came here.
Yes, sir. Yes.
And they people this land. They are derogatorily called pygmies. But they are the original family of our world. They introduced the entire concept of ma'at, justice and peace. They came here. And then came a second wave, who is called the Clovis Folsom. They were black.
All right now.
And then the third, the Algonquin. They were also black. Then came the Inuit, derogatorily called Eskimo. And then came who we call the Asian invaders. And they came in such large numbers, escaping Genghis Khan,
Yes.
that they then took over the gene pool of this country.
Yes, they did.
So what was once black became red. This is history, family. There's evidence. See, I'm not into truth. I'm not really into truth because truth can change. Because yesterday could have been a very cold day, and that's the truth. And it's a fact. But today, the sunshine, we in t-shirts. That's the truth, and that's a fact. So it's the evidence that you have to go by. Because it's the science, the knowledge, the wisdom of who we are as a people that will help us understand. When we're dealing with these issues, there are certain issues that are not to be argued. I'm not arguing whether or not we deserve reparations. We deserve reparations, and we're going to get it by any means necessary. And while we're talking about any means necessary, let's talk about security. You can have the world in your hands, but if you cannot secure it, if you cannot protect it, you don't have it. You're just holding it until someone stronger than you come along and take it. You got to protect what you have. You have to secure what you have. So even if they give you reparations, you got to be able to protect it. You got to be able to secure it.
That's right.
And we have that possibility. Because what we have to understand, family, looking at this from a global perspective, they stole Africans and brought them here. Now, reparations. And when they brought us here, they enslaved us and made us work against our will. We built this country. We built the machines.
And we built
We could not, because we were enslaved, we could not claim it, we could not have a patent on it, but we created them. And they got credit for it. Because who better to create the machines that's going to help what you do than the people that are working? That's the evidence. You in the big house and I'm down in the field. Who's going to build the machines? It's the people in the field.
That's right.
And that's what we did.
The inventors. We are.
And down south, what was going on at the time is that the South was getting big money on the raw materials. And the North was having problems because they were the industry. That's where the actual factories, most of the factories were made, where the South had the raw materials. And pretty soon the South said, well, I don't want to do this anymore. I don't like this relationship, this 13 colony thing. And so they created what's called the Mason-Dixon line. And in creating the Mason-Dixon line, what they did was say, well, that's the North and we're the South. And the North began to put pressure on them because something happened, family. It's called capitalism. Capitalism is fueled by competition. And if you could buy a human for $300, or you would pay somebody 30 years, $300 a year, which would you choose if you are profit motivated? You would pick buying somebody for $300 one time. And so the North said, but you got to stop enslaving people. They said, why are we going to do that? They said, because we got to work together. And the South said, well, who need to work with you? I'm going to break away. The North said, you can't do that. The South said, why not? Because then that would break up the Union. Abraham Lincoln said it. He said, if I could keep Africans enslaved and preserve the Union, I would. That's evidence. He said it. And so the South said, but we're going to keep enslaving people. But you see, what happened is that they had to stop the enslavement of the transatlantic enslavement. Now, I know they tell you that they felt sorry, that they wanted to repair the damage. That's not why they did it. They did it because they gave so many guns to African people in Africa who were on their side, unfortunately. But we got some people on their side right now, so we shouldn't be surprised. We have to face the truth now. And what began to happen is that Africans began to fight the Europeans, and they could not enslave the way they used to. So they had to stop the enslavement process because they were losing money. And so what they decided to do was to now, they would breed the Africans in the United States, and that's how they were able to build up their enslavement, the Africans that were here, by breeding them and creating breeding farms. There's evidence and there are books on this. And then the South said, but we're not going to do that. We're not going to free our Africans. The North said you have to. So in the year check this out, family. In the year 1854, a man by the name of George L. W. Bickley, don't believe a word I say. Google this. George L. W. Bickley in Cincinnati, Ohio, decided that he was going to create an organization. And the people that were part of the organization were called the Knights of the Golden Circle. And what they decided to do was from the Mason-Dixon line, they were going to go down into Mexico. They were going to go to Nicaragua. They were going to go to Cuba. They were going to make Havana, Cuba, the capital of the Golden Circle, where they were going to enslave Africans, keep enslavement going, and cut themselves off from the North. And the North said, you can't do that. And the South said, yes, we can. And not only that, I'm tired of talking to you. We're going to do it. And that is why the Civil War happened. They weren't freeing African people. They were preserving capitalism, and the Union is evidence. And they were going to create a new United States, but it was going to include the southern part of the United States, the Caribbean, and Central and South America. And Havana, Cuba was going to become its capital. But listen to this. Check out the movie National Treasure, Book of Secrets. They'll tell you about it. It's of course fiction, but it still tells you about the Golden Knights. If you're into comic books, get Atomic Robo. Edition number 28, it deals with the Golden Knights. They were involved in the assassination of Abraham Lincoln. They were directly involved with the assassinations. Reparations is what we are going to get for all the work that our ancestors did. And when we get that reparations, we're going to do it in the name of our children who are yet to be born, because they are the best. And they come from the best. And only the best of the best could have survived. You are the best of the best. Our children are the best of the best of the best. And we're going to get that reparations. And if not now, then when? And if not us, then who? It's going to be now, and it's going to be us. And this is a continuation. So as I leave the stage, I pay homage to our sister, Queen Mother Moore, who years ago talked about reparations. In Harlem, I heard her. I pay homage to NCOBRA, the organization formed in 1989 to fight for reparations. No more games. It's time, family. Reparations now. Can I hear you say it? Reparations when? Now. Who? Now. Hotep.
Give it up for Dr. Kaba. You guys having a good time? Yeah. Y'all good in the back? Yeah. Coming to the stage now, ladies and gentlemen, one of my good partners, financial expert, the creator of Your Black World News. You already know. Ladies and gentlemen, give a nice warm round of applause to my good brother, Dr. Boyce Watkins.
What's up, everybody? B1? 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 Right on. Okay. Let's start with the obvious. Has anybody noticed how many black men are now on the apology tour? Apologizing for tweeting, apologizing for who their friends are. Poor Kyrie Irving, you got some others out there that are apologizing, and it's kind of sad, right? I don't know about you guys, but I'm kind of sick of it. You should be apologizing to people who should be apologizing to you. Not at all. Now, I was thinking about this. I had some interesting conversations when we had the All Black National Convention on Friday night. I got a call from a brother named Kanye West, and we talked for a while, and I was kind of dissecting what's happening to him. We were sort of breaking down, and I think he was listening. I was explaining, look, this is what you're dealing with. This is not a matter of right or wrong. when you talk about something like reparations, this ain't a matter of right or wrong. In fact, everybody raise your hand if you know that we deserve reparations. Like this is not, this ain't calculus. It's not something we have to prove. Dr. Claude Anderson wrote a book called Black Labor, White Wealth that explains why we deserve reparations. So when Ye and I were talking, because his name is Ye now or something, rappers, they change their names and stuff. I said, this ain't about like whether you're right or wrong. This ain't about whether those people should be doing what they're doing to you. This is a power game.
Yes, it is.
And when you play the game of power, right and wrong goes out the window.
That's right.
True or false goes out the window. The whole pandemic, we had people telling us what was true when we had other people who said that's false. And they were muted. Because you're playing a game of power. So at the end of the day, just to finish the part about celebrities are not important, but I want to make this point. I said basically what they're doing is they have put an economic embargo on you. They have declared economic warfare against you.
That's right.
They're doing to you pretty much what they tried to do to every black man, woman, and child for the last 400 years. So the same way Kanye or Kyrie or whoever the celebrity is can't do what they want to do because of the economic consequences, a lot of us feel the same thing because we get up and we go to work every day working for people who don't like us very much. This is a common thing. So let's get back to that word power. Power is defined in the book Powernomics as the ability to pursue your agenda despite the opposition of others.
Say that.
Power is not the ability to do what you want if white people will allow it. Power is not the ability to do what you want if everybody helps you. Power doesn't mean that you have allies that are going to get you there. Power is the ability to pursue your agenda despite the opposition of others.
Say that.
So we are going to run into other groups that are going to attempt to use their power to mute the truth and keep you from getting what you want. So I talked to Tariq backstage. I said, tell me about the resistance that you're getting for this rally, because I know they're going to resist you. I know they're going to fight you. He said, yeah, there's been a lot of pushback. I said, absolutely. That's because you're doing something effective. The only black people who get no resistance are the ones who have submitted to the system. Weak-ass men don't get resistance. The punks don't get resistance. Most of your celebrities are punks. That's a fact. So the power in the community is not on TV. It's not in your favorite rapper. It's not with your favorite actor. The power is right here in this space. This is where black power lives. This is where the work is going to get done. So out of tribute to a man I love like a father by the name of Dr. Claude Anderson. He lives not far from here. And just to tell you how effective he is, he's lived down the street from Howard University for decades. They've never had him come speak. They've had a long list of anti-black people speak, a whole lot of weak Negroes from Hollywood speak, but for some reason the greatest economic thinker of our generation, he just slips off the radar. That tells you what you're up against. That's telling you what you have to fight. So let me give you something that will help you in this battle. I'm going to give you 3 core values that I believe in. This is not a solution that's going to come from the politicians. It's not a solution that's going to come from the celebrities. It's a solution that comes from us and our families.
That's right.
Black people have to do 3 things. We must educate our own children because the public school is killing them at an early age. Our public schools are nothing but prisons on training wheels, and they're training our kids to become little white supremacists. Second thing we must do after we educate our own children, we must create our own jobs. A lot of our people cannot be free because you cannot expect to fight a power and beg them for resources at the same time.
That's right.
The man who feeds my family, I can't look at him and say, I'm the man of this house. He's the man of the house. So we have to create our own jobs so we don't send our kids across town begging for a job from people who hate them. The third thing we must do is we must support black businesses by any means necessary. Black people, you are not poor. You are not broke. Black people have 1.6 trillion in spending power. That exceeds the gross domestic product of Russia, Mexico, Saudi Arabia. We're tied with Canada. How in the hell can you have a spending amount that matches the GDP of Canada and call yourselves poor? So you don't have a lack of resources. You have a lack of planning, a lack of mindset, a lack of focus. Everything that we need, we've already got. So as we move forward with this reparations fight, and we should move forward with intentionality. I am not here to tell you what to do, but whenever a politician calls me, I tell them if you can't support reparations, then I cannot support you. No reparations, no vote. 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 Thank you very much. Thank you all very much. That's all I gotta say. God bless.
Are we still good, guys? We good on this side? We good over here? All right, now coming to the stage, we have one of our DMV sisters. She was in a couple of my movies. She's in the new movie that we have coming out called American Maroon, coming out in a couple of months. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Dr. Mayad. Give it up for Dr. Mayad.
All right, Black Power, Black Power, Black Power, FBA, make some noise. Giving all praises to the Creator and the ancestors, for we are our ancestors and we stand on their shoulders. Ashe. Love and honor and gratitude to Brother Tariq Nasheed. Let's give it up for Brother Tariq Nasheed. And all of the grassroots organizations for raising awareness around the issue of reparations for foundational Black Americans and for mobilizing our people to demand what is rightfully ours. But before I give my spill, I gotta address the elephant in the room. FBA is not a hate group. FBA is a lineage. FBA is a lineage that we are proud of and that we will protect and advocate for. So to my brothers and sisters on the continent and throughout the diaspora, FBA is no different from you recognizing your Yoruba lineage, or your Ashanti lineage, or your Akan lineage, or your Bamaliki lineage. And so if you truly are our brothers and sisters, then you will support us and align yourselves with us instead of aligning yourself with the dominant society when you come over here. Dr. Sandy Darity, in his book From Here to Equality, Reparations for Black Americans in the 21st Century, he defines reparations as a program of acknowledgement, redress, and closure for grievous injustices. So reparations isn't a handout. It is given to rectify harm. And although all other groups have received reparations for the harm done to them, when we demand reparations, the dominant society frames the demand as if we are asking for a handout from the federal government. Well, so-called whites have been given, I'm sorry, family, so-called whites have been given handouts since the human category was invented after the Bacon Rebellion in 1676. See, whiteness is an invention. There's no such thing as a white person. And after the Bacon Rebellion, this government passed a package of laws that gave psychological and material value to those who were classified as white. And these laws gave patriarchal authority to white men. It gave power to white men. And it disempowered people who were classified as non-whites. In Dr. Amos Wilson's book, Blueprint for Black Power, how many of you have Blueprint for Black Power? Blueprint for Black Power by Dr. Amos Wilson. That book should be in every black home. In that particular book on page, I believe it was 34 or 36, he lists all of the handouts that whites have been given from 1675 to 1975. White people have been given handouts for 300 years plus. All right, and so from 1683 to 1889, the federal government passed acts and ordinances that gave lands to whites. Specifically, the Homestead Act, which was passed in 1862, it granted settlers 160-acre tracts of federal lands without charges. Over 250 acres of public lands were transferred almost exclusively to whites in the most important land program in American history. In the book, The Hidden Cost of Being African American by Thomas Shapiro, we learned that over 1 million whites today still live off of the wealth that they incurred from the Homestead Act alone. From 1920 to 1975, our federal government, they passed the Mineral Leasing Act, which authorized the federal government to lease public land for the exploration of gas, oil, and other minerals. In 1926, they passed the Federal Air Commerce Act, where they gave licenses to qualified aviators. So you wonder why we don't have black-owned airlines. Your government made sure we didn't have black-owned airlines. All right, and the Federal Communication Commission, they issued the first licenses for television broadcast stations, and no grants were made to Negroes. This is Dr. Amos Wilson's language. He says Negroes until token awards in the late 1960s and 1980s. So family, you wonder why we don't have black-owned television networks, because your government designed it to be that way. And so Dr. Amos Wilson's list does not include the New Deal policies that were passed under the Roosevelt administration, right? I'm talking about the FHA loans and the VA loans, which created a white middle class. All right? And so while they were creating a white middle class, we were confined to ghettos. We were redlined and confined to ghettos. Ghettos are a government creation. And so this government has been complicit in putting us at the bottom of the dominant hierarchy. So it is the government that needs to fix this problem. Ashe? Man, we were enslaved. I mean, there's so many receipts, family. I mean, we could talk about enslavement, how we grew cash crops, you know, sugar, rice, cotton, and tobacco, which led to the growth and expansion of America. We fought in all of the wars. Hell, we helped white folks win their independence while we were still over here fighting for ours. We suffered numerous massacres. I know they like to shine a light on Tulsa, Oklahoma, but there were hundreds of black communities that they destroyed, which destroyed black lives, black properties, black businesses, and black wealth. All right, and so some people may say, well, Dr. Ma'at, well, what about today? Well, let's bring it up to today. They've murdered and falsely imprisoned our freedom fighters, free movement. Let me hear y'all say free movement, all political prisoners. Free movement and all political prisoners. Ashe. Mass incarceration, police violence and killings, discrimination in housing and employment and credit markets, poorly resourced schools. All of these things, these laws, policies, and practices created a racial hierarchy that has placed so-called whites at the top and FBA at the bottom. We have been locked out of the American dream that they tell us it's so easy to get. Isn't that what America does? They project this image to the world. Just come to America and anybody can achieve the American dream, while they lock foundational black Americans out, and we are the people who built America. But no more, family, no more. We will no longer beg for a seat at their table. We're gonna build our own goddamn table. Just cut the check. Let me hear you say, cut the check. Cut the check. In the words of Dr. Martin Luther King, we are coming to get our check, and this time it better not come back insufficient funds. It better not come back insufficient funds. And FBA, never mind the naysayers, FBA, never mind the detractors. You just keep your eyes on the prize. You hear me? And we will be victorious. Ask me, how do I know? Say it louder. How do you know, Dr. Martin? Because our ancestors said so. You remember when Dr. King said he went to the mountaintop and he saw that promised land? Our ancestors said so. So I want to hear you say, we will win. We will win. Just keep the faith, family. Keep the fight. Black power.
Close, I whittle them down, stick it to them by sticking around. The gang all out, Iwo Jima got one flag and it's sticking the ground, setting up shop. Think I got the message across, came for the titles and
Hey, what's up? We still out here, I think 5 hours now at this point. I'm here with one of my favorites. If y'all don't know him, Google him. Spoken Reasons.
How you doing?
Good, how have you been?
I've been all right. I'm hot, but I'm blessed to be here though.
I'm super shocked because I've known him for years, and I'm super surprised to see him down here. What made you say, I have to be at this rally?
It's history in the making. I mean, I didn't want to miss out. You know, I don't know when we gonna actually get this check, but I know at the same time I got to be a part of everything. So I want to be able to tell my kids and tell my my family that I was actually here for it. So I was fighting in the cause. I actually using my legs to walk. So I'm here.
So why do you think that foundational black Americans, why do you think it's so hard for us to get reparations? And they've given it to every other group. Why don't they want to give it to us specifically?
Because we have all the power. We have all the power. We have, they didn't steal from us for nothing. So, you give us the check, then see what we do with it.
So I have a couple questions for you.
Okay, no problem.
Why do you think that foundational black Americans deserve reparations?
Okay, I have like a number of lists of things, but I'm going to numerize it down to a little bit. I'm going to minimize it. I believe that we basically earned it. And like I said before, I don't feel like this is something that we need to earn. I feel like this should just come natural to us because we have built the country. And a lot of people get that confused. It's like, oh, you came later, you're not foundational black American. But we are FBA, foundational, the most important part. We were here first, and that part I feel like is the most important part. So I feel like that is a very, 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 very big part. We really deserve that. We really deserve that because it is ours. And I feel like we deserve land, we deserve money, we deserve everything. And I feel like they should be paying us, like when you get like foreigners and stuff like that. And I like to visit to other places too. So I'm not saying don't come here, I'm just saying pay us.
Guarantee of non-repetition. Guarantee of non-repetition. Awesome. So I think we're ready to bring up our next speaker. This is an elder, an esteemed elder. Give it up for Baba James Small.
FBA, do you understand who you are? Then stop being afraid of anybody that try to encroach on you.
Secret to life is to have no fear. It was Malcolm that told us that. Reparation isn't a question. We're going to get it because we're going to take it. But it's your method. And so it's a legal question in the world. But how many people in here ever had a job or got a business? Raise your hand. You do it to get paid, right? So if somebody works your ass for 400 years and don't pay you, don't they owe you? I mean, think of it now. Somebody worked you for 400 years. Don't they owe you? And don't that come with back pay? Don't that come with interest? Isn't that yours? See, some people try to make us feel bad for asking, some of our own too, for reparations. This isn't a question of asking anybody for anything. We're telling somebody, you forced me to render a service you didn't pay for. In the process, you murdered nearly 50 million of my kind.
That's right.
You owe me. I'm not asking you for anything. Dr. Asa Hilliard said, and I want to get this one straight, because I know a lot of us have been speaking on identity. If you don't get identity straight, you don't have a case. Okay? So foundation, I'm an African American. That's not a contradiction. But I'm also a foundational Black American. That's not a contradiction. You understand? If someone is from Ghana and he migrates here, he's not a foundational Black American. But I want you to hold up because I heard some stuff I didn't like. That's still your family. He just got another case. I've had cases. I've been in that precinct. I've been in that jail cell. And I know how you get a case. People have different cases. America committed a crime against people all over the world. And they got cases, but they don't have our case. We got a particular case. But I want you to be clear. I'm not giving up Africa. Now, if some of y'all want to give up the richest piece of real estate on earth, do it. But I'm not doing it, and I'm not going to advise you to do it. That's yours. But that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about a nation here called the United States of America that we built. We didn't just build it with labor. We built it with our intellect. We built it with our science. We built it with our technology. We built it with our spirituality. And we're still doing it. And we want it back. Let me tell you a little secret. People play games on your mind and it make you think you're weak, and then when you think you're weak, you take a certain posture when it's time to fight. When you break down the ethnic groups in America, the largest ethnic group according to their tallies is the Germans. The second largest ethnic group is the foundational Black Americans. Now I want you to understand this because I'm going to show you something. The foundational Black Americans, according to the stats done by this criminal enterprise called the government, right, is second only to the German in population size in America. But the big lie is we're the only people whose immigrant population, whether they're making mistakes or not, we'll deal with that before I'm finished, is not counted as their population. Italians is counted as Italians, no matter when they got here. Greeks are counted as Greeks, no matter when they got here. Chinese is counted as Chinese, no matter when they got here. But they don't do that for foundational Black Americans. If they did that, the African Latino, who is not even treated kindly by the white Latino, is still counted as white folks and isolated from us. If we just took the African Latino into the family, we'd be the largest ethnic group in America. I'm trying to tell you something now, how you get played out of pocket and then you're fighting out of the wrong pocket. The foundational Black American is the largest population in America. And when you talk about ethnic population wealth, you're the first or second wealthiest ethnic population in America. But if you don't get clear on your identity, you don't know how to take your riches and turn your riches into wealth. Because all the criminals that make up this government, the black ones, the white ones, and the brown ones that have not voted for our reparations, we should use the mechanism of how you get in office to get the criminals out of office. But we don't know how to use all the tools at our hands. The secret about voting is a tool. It's not an addiction. It's not a disease. It is a tool when you live in a capitalist society that uses electoral processes to pick your leaders. Now, if you're going to sit back and let somebody else use that tool, you're going to lose the game. If you want to win the game, you better take control of every tool mechanism you got. But the first one is your identity. Power is the ability to define your reality, and that includes your identity, and everyone else should respect your decision on how you define yourself as foundational Black American. So me, I'm not going to say I'm not an African American, because Africa is my race, America is a geopolitical place. But foundational Black American is an ethnic statement. It talks about a population for the last 400 years that have been under duress in the United States of America, and we come from all over Africa, and we formed our own ethnic nation. And you have to know how to identify your ethnic nation if you're going to be able to fight for them. Yes, my brother from Nigeria, he got a case against Britain, and he's probably got a case against America, but not the same case we got. All right? Now, I'm not going to argue with him. That's my brother. I'm going to fight for my case and ask for his assistance, and then when he fights for his case, I'm going to give him my assistance. Because this war is a race war, and it has been a race war for the last 3,000 years. The last 3,000 years you have been in a race war. This population, the foundation of Black America, for 400 years, we have taken on the mightiest white empire ever built on earth. And we have defeated them multiple times at the game. You understand? So when we tell them we're coming to the table to get our reparations, we're coming to the table not to ask him for our reparations. We are going to define methodologies for taking our reparations. Because it isn't just a conversation. It isn't just us being here talking today. Every one of you have to engage with Foundational Black American and organizing the mechanism necessary to take our reparations. And understand, reparations is a pretty name for the money they owe us, okay? We can throw that word out. We're going to take the money they owe us. Back in the 60s, we called it reclamation. We robbed a bank here and a store here and a few things. And some of us did get away. Some went to jail. Some of us did get away. We call it reclamation. You know? So we have to reclaim what is ours. And we have to be clear. Don't be ashamed of your identity. You're a foundational Black American, and you're also African. Africa is not a place. That is our ancestral, historical, spiritual center. When we came before Columbus, we came from Africa. When we came with the Mali Empire, we came from Africa. When we came on the slave ship, we came from Africa. Then all of us married together. I'm Native American, Chicora tribe, and African. I came on the ships with the Malians before Columbus, and I'm still African. And I'm here talking to you. I'm from South Carolina, the Gullah Geechee culture, Chicora Nation. Right? I'm straight up foundational Black American, because I got all the elements. But I'm not going to give nobody Africa. But guess what? America is as much mine as Africa is. I bought this. I bought this. I paid blood for this. I paid labor for this. And I want to control this. And we are going to control this. Don't be afraid. White people across the planet is at minus birth rate. Not zero birth rate. They're at minus birth rate, meaning they cannot have enough babies to keep up with the natural death process. So that's what the LGBT thing is about. That's what, no disrespect if a brother or sister in that, they got to deal with that. That's what they got to deal with. But I got to deal with the politics of it, okay? That's what that whole thing of intermarriage, you saw how the intermarriage thing has souped up? That's what that's about. Trying to now supplant your gene into their gene, hoping that they can survive. But they're not going to survive. But most of us here will not live to see their death. But we know their death is going to come. But what we can do is make sure we make the case for reparations now. And like that dude was talking about segregation, we want reparations now. We want reparations tomorrow. We want reparations forever, because we're going to take the whole damn country every time. Okay? So we just want to be clear. Don't give up being an African. That's yours too. I want that gold and that diamond. I'm not about to give that to nobody. I want the platinum and the tungsten and the coltan. That's mine. I'm not giving that up. But I want this too. I want this because I built it. I want this because I raised it up. I want this because if you look at all the major inventions in this country, we did it, not them. They took it, but we made it. We invented that light bulb, not them. We invented the cell phone, not them. We invented the computer, not them. And you can go on and on and on. Take our technology out, they die. That's a part of your reparations. They stole all your patents. They stole all your technology. They even stole your hip-hop rap music, made trillions of dollars of it. And when somebody stand up like Kanye, they try to shut him down. And so I spoke up for Kanye a couple of weeks ago and tell them, I'm not going to let them shut him down. And you shouldn't let them shut him down. Foundational Black America, be proud of your identity, all of your identity. If I went to Africa, I would meet a Yoruba man, and he would be a Yoruba man, and proud of that. He would be a Nigerian, and proud of that. He would be from Benin State, and proud of that, and he'd be an African, and proud of that. So don't let nobody limit your identity. You're an African. You're an African American. You're a foundation of Black American, and you are some more stuff. Own your identity. Shackle yourself to your identity. And then make your case for reparations, 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 reparations now. Peace and blessings.